Hey, Miss Ross, I thought today that we could teach you about epithelial tissues by Audrey, Ruchika, Manu, Nicole, and Amy. And right here are pictures of the types of epithelium. All right, now, where is this all found? Throughout the whole body, this is where epithelial tissues are found. They are found on the body surfaces, organs, even the hollow ones, and they also form the inner lining of body cavities, glands, and gland ducts. And the outer layer of all the internal organs is called the endothelium.
Characteristics. Epithelial tissue always has a free surface, which means it's a surface that is exposed to the outside of an open space internally. Epithelial tissue always has a free surface, also called the apical surface. It's a surface that is exposed to the outside or to an open space internally. Another characteristic is it has a basement membrane. This holds the cell in place. It's non-living and very thin. Epithelial tissue has no blood vessels in it, and through semi-permeable membranes, nutrients diffuse from connective tissues below. Cells divide readily and quickly, so injuries heal quickly, and new cells replace lost or damaged ones. Skin cells and cells lining the intestines are continually being damaged and replaced. Cells are tightly packed and close together. The functions of epithelial tissue are protection, secretion, absorption, and excretion.
Okay, cells are classified by their shape and by their number. The first way would be by shape, which can include squamous cells, which are thin flattened cells, cuboidal cells, which are cube-like cells, and columnar cells, which are elongated cells. And by number, the first way is simple, which means it only has one layer of cells, and then stratified, which is two or more layer cells. Okay, there's different types of epithelial tissue. The first time we're going to talk about is simple squamous epithelium. And just using what we just learned, simple means that it only has one layer, and squamous means that it's made of thin flattened cells. Knowing that, simple squamous epithelium is tightly packed cells with broad, thin nuclei. Also, substances can easily pass through, which makes it a common area for diffusion, osmosis, and filtration. And cells are easily damaged and replaced quickly because they're usually on the outside surface.
Simple cuboidal epithelium is a single layer of epithelial cells that are cube-shaped. The nuclei of these cells are spherical and located in the center of the cell. Simple cuboidal epithelium lines the follicles that cover the ovaries, and in the liver, its function is tubular secretion and tubular reabsorption. In the glands, simple cuboidal epithelium secretes glandular productions. Simple columnar epithelium is composed of a single layer of elongated cells. The nuclei of these cells are usually at about the same level near the basement membrane. Simple columnar epithelium can be ciliated or non-ciliated. It protects underlying tissues and absorbs nutrients and secretes fluids. Simple columnar epithelium also contains goblet cells which secrete protective fluid onto the surface of the tissue.
Pseudostratified columnar appear stratified. They also have varied shapes and nuclei locations, and they all reach a basement structure. One important thing is that they all have cilia and goblet cells. Another type of epithelial tissue is stratified squamous cells. The outermost layer is flattened, and the bottom part is acubital and columnar shaped. What's important is that older cells rise up and flatten. Also, in the epidermis, old cells accumulate keratin. Some examples of this are the vagina, the esophagus, the oral cavity, and the anal canal.
The other type of the epithelial tissue is stratified cuboidal. And what's special about this one is that it has 2 to 3 layers of cuboidal cells that line the lumen. And what's different about it is that since it lines the lumen, it gives a protection to the larger ducts such as the mammary, sweat, and salivary glands, as well as the pancreas. Also, besides that, it also lines the developing ovarian follicles for females and the seminiferous tubules. Alright, another type would be the stratified columnar. It has several different layers of the cells where the top layer is elongated and the bottom part is cube-shaped. And then the best example would be the male urethra and parts of the pharynx.
Transitional epithelial tissue are a specialized type of tissue. They have specialized cells that change in response to increased tension. When contracting, it has several cuboidal layers. When distended, it has few layers in flat barrier, prevents contents from going back into the internal environment. Examples are in the urinary bladder, the ureters, and parts of the urethra. Another type of epithelial cells is glandular. These specialized cells secrete substances into ducts or body fluids, usually columnar or cuboidal, and constitute a gland. There are two types, exocrine, which secrete products to ducts or open surfaces, and endocrine, which secretes products into tissue, fluid, or blood.
The types of exocrine glands include the unicellular, which an example would be a goblet cell, and a multicellular, which is a simple or a compound. The simple multicellular types include simple tubular, simple coil tubular, simple branch tubular, and simple branch alveolar.
Compound tubular glands or coiled tubules are usually branched and can be found in the bulb urethral glands of the males. Compound alveolar glands are irregular branched tubules with multiple sac-like outgrowths. An example would be the mammary glands. This is just a picture explaining the exocrine glands.
Exocrine glands are also differentiated by the ways in which they secrete their glands. For example, merocrine glands, the fluid product is released through the cell membrane by exocytosis. Examples of this are the salivary glands, the pancreatic, and sweat glands. Another type is apocrine, and this is the loss of small portions of glandular cell bodies with product during secretion. And this example would be the mammary glands and ceruminous found in the ear canal. The last one is holocrine, and this is when the entire cell comes out with the product and disintegrates. An example would be the sebaceous gland.
Alright, for one of the diseases, it's probably the most common one that every teenager faces, is acne, and affects the ages of either 10 to 40. It's caused by the blockage of your sebaceous glands, and it ends up building up with oil, and eventually leads up to blackheads, which are oxidized oil, and then it leads to also inflammation near the surface, which are the pustules. Inflammation deeper in is when the pimples, the oil breaks through the surface, and that is the whiteheads. Treatments for that would be the cleansers, such as Neutrogena and Proactive, and then the antibacterials are the benzoyl peroxide.
Psoriasis is another known condition from epithelial tissue. It's not contagious, and its rapid skin cell production causes dry, red, scaly, thickened skin. Commonly affects elbows, knees, and the scalp. It's a non-curable chronic skin disease and periodically improves and worsens. There is currently no cure, but there are treatments for the symptoms. There are topical that are applied to the skin for mild psoriasis. Phototherapy, ultraviolet light applied to the skin for moderate to severe psoriasis, and systemic, taken orally or injected for all types of psoriasis.
Merocrine is the most common type of glandular secretion. It's classified into two different cells. The first cell would be mucus cells, which secrete thick mucus that is rich in the glycoprotein mucin, which is found in the digestive tract and the respiratory tracts. And serous cells, which include watery with high concentrations of enzymes that is known as serous fluid, and that's found in between body cavities and in body cavities.
We hope this presentation was beneficial to your knowledge.
Thank you for watching, and this is our Works Cited page.
And we hope you learned a lot about skin.
And epithelial tissue.
Yep. Have a nice day.